Good morning, Garage Army. Welcome to another edition of Friday Night Chats with your friendly neighborhood garage geek, or as This Is Music called me, Garage Beast, because of the photo I showed. I kind of like that, Garage Beast. So I put that. That's awkward. Sorry. How do I do that? There. That's for you, Ben Rankins. I moved him up, and everyone can see the prick in the bottom from Prick Up Your Ears. I don't know if you want to be looking at that the whole time. I should change that. That's not nice. Let's look at Sam Cooke instead over there. There you go. That's a better image. So I had two events to talk about, personal events. And then, of course, I will get on to my movies and books. Later today, I am going to have a comic extravaganza because I again went crazy on Whatnot app. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm not adding it here because I don't want to make people who watch my Friday Night Chats suffer through all my comics. But I got some good ones this time, and the prices are so good. Like with Whatnot, you can keep channel surfing until you find one that doesn't have many people in it, and you can get some good deals. So it all depends on who's in the room, right? It could have just a few people, but if there's someone in there who's willing to bid against you, then of course it makes it more problematic. But there are deals to be had on Whatnot, a lot of good deals. All right, let's go ahead. So I'm going to start with my two personal events. So this, I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. I chaperoned the students on a field trip to the Dodgers Stadium to see the LA Dodgers versus the Detroit Tigers. Like I don't like baseball at all. In fact, I saw some friends there that work at another school. So the director needed chaperones, so she was able to give whoever wanted tickets. And so I met some friends, and they go, it's really cool because they go stadium hopping. They go all around the United States, and they take pictures at every stadium. And I didn't realize this was a thing until I saw a bunch of other people doing it on Facebook. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. That's actually something I wouldn't mind doing. I wouldn't go inside, but outside, because I'm a crazy nut like that. Every city I go to, I try to see as many things as I can. Oh, my dog's going to start. Hey, I'm live now. You can't be doing that. I'm live. Angel, I'm live. No. So anyways, I was talking to her. I was sitting there, and what was cool was with our tickets, and there were over 100 kids with us. But with our tickets, we got a $19 voucher, and I was able to buy food, which is cool. We couldn't drink, obviously, right? It's good and bad because I was talking about the prices with No Solution, and we were laughing because we had realized like we are our parents complaining about all the prices of how expensive everything is. That was pretty funny. So I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. So, like $18 for a beer. It's, that is kind of crazy. Come on. So I had $19 in free voucher food, and I ended up spending $15 myself, and I was able to get 2 plant-based hot dogs. And I'm telling you, these hot dogs were small, right? Thin and like everything small. No condiments on them at all. Just the hot dog and the bun. But they did have places where you could get some ketchup and I don't like mayonnaise. The other one, mustard. I love mustard. Anyways, so I bought 2 of those dogs and a bag of peanuts plus a bottle of water, and that was $19 plus 15. So whatever that is, like 20, 34. Like I spent $34 on food, and it was like nothing. But anyways, it was really fun just sitting there with a bag of peanuts. They were so salty that after a while, I felt like my lips were getting like inflamed. Like there was so much salt on these peanuts. But I was sitting there enjoying like being in the stadium, and that's why I went, right? Not only to support the teacher, I was chaperoning, but just to be in the stadium. It's pretty cool at night. I got some pictures, so I'll show you. I actually have a short video where I'm walking through and going from the tunnel out into the stadium. I didn't post it, but it's a pretty cool thing to be at a stadium at night. And so, like, everybody was like screaming something really good happened, and I was just like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then my friend was seated a couple rows down. She turned around. Did you see that? Did you see that? I was like, "No." I wasn't even paying attention. I was just looking around, enjoying my peanuts, talking to the students. Like, I told a student, "Man, this is the worst TV show ever." I don't know. I don't like sports. So what can you say? But I did enjoy going there with the students and hanging out at the stadium. So I'll show you a couple of pictures. I took this one from the bus as we were driving by. Pretty cool. So welcome to Dodger Stadium. So you can tell I took it from the bus. I'll cut it off. And I'm going to tell you, it was a gorgeous night. Now, come on. Does that scream Los Angeles to you? Like, look at that sky and the palm trees. Here's another one. I mean, come on. It was a gorgeous night just sitting there with a light jacket on in that stadium with my peanuts and my water. I was happy. Okay, they have all these bobbleheads everywhere, and you can see all the students. All they were doing was rocking the head up and down. That's, students being annoying. So I was able to, get a picture in there. But look behind, like the sky. It was a gorgeous night, a gorgeous Southern California night. So here we have the stadium. I mean, if you've been to a stadium, you've seen it. But for me, it was fun because I seriously haven't gone to a baseball game since I was forced to go when I was in the military. So I wasn't forced. We would get half a day off when we would go to the games. So we would go to the game, sit for a few innings, and then we could get out of there. So we would all go and just do that. So it was kind of fun. I did go to the Dodger Stadium about 3 or 4 years ago when they were having a showcase of student work there. And that was cool because it was entirely empty, and I was able to walk around the entire stadium. And me and my husband went around the outside too. So that was really cool, with nobody there. Here's just a statue that was there. I thought it was cool. Nice. And as I was leaving, the skyline, it was neat. I thought I had more pictures of the skyline because I had better pictures. Okay, so the second thing that happened was it was my husband's and mine. Is that right? My husband's and my anniversary. And we're married 6 years. So our anniversary was on Thursday, but we decided to go out on Friday. But we've actually been together 21 years, right? So we got married 6 years ago, when the laws changed, making it acceptable. We don't need to go into all that. So we actually went out to dinner at Buco di Beppo, and there he is holding the menu. And I'm going to have to say that overall, we've been to Buco di Beppo. We got a carafe of the sangria. I'm going to have to say overall, we've been there before. The food was nice. And I mean, like, look, each plate is meant to be a portion for 2 to 3 people. For some reason, we didn't have the most enjoyable evening because after that, we walked around Pasadena, but it seems to have changed so much. So many of the shops that we really liked are gone. I hate to say this, but there were just homeless people everywhere. And I mean, I'm not saying, it's, homeless people are bad, but it's just, when you walk around, it's sad, right? It's just, you're out for a good time and, there's misery all around you. But I it's important that we're aware of it. So I don't know what, I'm trying to be polite, but it was a downer. It was a downer on our night out, right? And it wasn't just that they were homeless, like they were performing to get money, like screaming and moaning and wailing, like not singing. So many of them were like screaming and, like just to show their misery. I guess it's some kind of new tactic or something. Wow, I'm coming off as like a real big a-hole right now. I see how I'm sounding. It's not like I don't feel for them, but it was just a downer, right? Hearing people screaming and wailing. Sorry, everybody. I'm not sounding very empathetic right now. Okay, sorry. Anyways, it was kind of a downer of an evening. We went to Buco de Beppo. We actually should have gone to a different restaurant. I think we should have gone more upscale. My husband wanted risotto, but we couldn't find a restaurant that was serving risotto. So we ended up going to Buco de Beppo because we've been there before. It's got cool decor. But anyways, did I show you? Yeah, I showed you that picture. Like, it was a lot of food. We took a lot of it home. Here's a picture of my dog this morning. Like, this is what they do. Every time I put these seat things on, number one, they always fall down, always. But as soon as I put it on, my dog will get in there and scramble up in it. I can't keep him on because that's what they do. So I took a picture of that because doesn't he look cute? So that's Aries. Oh, this is funny. So I sent this picture to my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that. So that's the Sentinel. And then my husband was like, oh, I like his little Chihuahua. And I was like, what? That's Wolverine. His little Chihuahua. He was like, oh, I couldn't see it very well in the picture, but I thought that was funny. All right. Okay, let's go on to... Oh, one more thing. My husband made this Jell-O mold, so he's working on Jell-O. Now, I know initially it looks gross, right, because it's got what looks like liquid. That's not really liquid. That's just the Jell-O where it kind of leaked out of the mold. But he's practicing for Halloween, and so, yeah, he got those hands and the skull and the dark green color because we are going to go to a Halloween party. So, yeah, there's a close-up of the hand, so that's what... In fact, my husband said, we're out of hands. We got to go to Target because that's where he found those little candy hands. So yeah, that was my week. I was a little bit tired because for some reason, for 3 days in a row, I kept waking up at 5. And I normally get up at 6:30. So when you think about it, that's an hour and a half, 3 hours, 4.5 hours of sleep that over time I was missing. And so by the end of the week, I was dragging. And in fact, the next day after the Dodgers game, I had a migraine. Excuse me. Time for a sip. I had a migraine at school, and now I should have anticipated this because whenever I get a lack of sleep, I have to take a migraine pill because I always get a migraine, and so I have a prescription for them, sumatriptan. It's a generic one, so that's what they gave me. So I take those pills, but I was at work and I didn't bring one. And man, that day was just a nightmare. Just trying to get through it until I got home and was able to take my pill. I took my pill as soon as I got home. I actually took a nap for like 40 minutes. And then I woke up and I felt a lot more refreshed. Now I'm going to have to apologize because I look all kinds of crazy today because I woke up early and I went out of the house. I didn't take a shower because I didn't want to wake my husband up. And so, like, you're seeing an unbathed garage geek right now. Don't worry, I will bathe a little bit later, but I didn't want to make my husband up. So, how do all of you feel out there about an unbathed garage beast? If that appeals to you, put that in the comments because I think I need to write you privately. Oh, let me show this. So, I ordered this through the mail and it arrived yesterday. So this is another art book. I think I'm going to try to get a few more art books because I actually really, really enjoy them. So my brother had these calendars, a lot of them when I was young. So I grew up staring at a lot of the images in this book. Now this is just a floppy book and I ended up paying $20 for it. I think I really overpaid. But I mean, it's got those images from when I was a kid. Like, yeah, you can see there's Frodo right there all wrapped up. I mean, I grew up staring at these. They're just amazing. And then they have like notes and behind the scenes and they show the models and the pictures that they used to base this artwork on. And so I will be doing a deep dive into this book, everybody. So you have that to look forward to, right? Next, I got to hunt down the trading cards of these. I know there must be a set of trading cards. So if you're looking forward to that one, give me a comment, right? Because Garage Geek needs to be encouraged. Okay, we're ready for the books and the movies. Let me start with the books because there's so few of them. Only 3. So the first one I don't have a picture of because I showed it last week, and that was Anne of the Green Gables. I finished it. I will admit that I loved when Anne was younger, more so than when she was getting a little bit older. The book is just so endearing, but I still really, really enjoyed it all the way to the end. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing with the series. It's a book that I would highly recommend to everybody to read. Like I was like laughing and like I really had emotional connection with that book. It was something really interesting, and I some people have commented on, they've read the books, and they've all been very positive comments. So people generally like that book. I would recommend that everybody should experience the first half of that book, and Anne's journey to finding a home where she's loved. It was pretty powerful stuff. If in my opinion, I think it's a must. Maybe I should read it to my kids at school. They'll probably make me hate it though. Oh, and I should do all of you out there want to hear, this is another, like, I digress again. Do you want to hear a classroom story? So, yesterday I had to cover a class, and so it was an 8th grade class. So I go in there, and there wasn't a lesson plan, typical. And so, I mean, there was one. I just really had to hunt for it. It was written on the board, and there were some papers there. And so basically the kids had to read an article about Isaac Newton, and they had to write a 1-sentence summary for each paragraph. So I handed them all out. I opened up Google Docs. I put, we have a screen where you can cast, and, the kids could follow along. So many of those kids had never opened up a Google Doc and formatted one before. Like, I was shocked. So I had the kids, label the doc, put the title in the title bar, and then we created a chart, and a table was what they called it. And then we put the title of the chart, and we bolded it, and we put color in the background, and I showed them how to adjust it. They'd never done it before, and I was kind of shocked, right? It's, we use technology at the school, and they'd never done this. And so many of them were asking questions like, how do I do that? How do I do that? So I'd have to show them again, slow it down. But anyways, I got them into the lesson. So we read the first paragraph, and then we highlighted key terms. Like, so many of them were struggling with so many of the words, which is good, right? And so we would talk about vocabulary, and then we did the key terms. Sorry, I'm going on and on about this lesson. And they were wrapped. They were doing everything, right? And this, you could tell this was a low group of kids with a lot of behavior issues. They were totally in the lesson. And then it flipped. So I was like, now it's your turn, kids. I showed you exactly what to do. I gave you a model. We read it, and then we hunted for the key terms. We underlined them. We highlighted them, and then we distilled it all into, one sentence. And then we put it in our chart. It's up to you guys. Now you do the same thing. Boom. No one would do everything. That's when the phones came out. That's when they all turned to each other and started swearing and screaming across the room. I was like, they couldn't do independent work. But the point is, you show them something, and then you got to see if they can do it themselves, and you walk around and help them be successful at it. Nope. A friend of mine said to me before I went into the class, and this is really bad, just make it easy on yourself, just they make you cover. But I hate doing that. I'm like, these kids need to learn something. There's something wrong with me. Most people would just be like, okay, kids, I'm here. All right, I need you, and they just walk around and keep them quiet, basically. Let them do what they want to do, and no work gets done. But I just think that's so sad. But anyways, I suffered after that. I should have kept them, writing, doing the model and having them follow along. But they don't get a chance to demonstrate any learning. Oh my God, I'm going on and on about this. That was just another experience that I had to go through because I was kind of like, once the kids are all swearing, it becomes like crowd control. And I have to go here and put out a fire, then go there. And it gets to be like, it's too chaotic. I hate that. And I hate, like, the kids started calling each other foul, racist names, yelling them across the room. It was just like, oh, God. Okay. Let's move on. Oh, Lord. I'm sorry. I tell you guys too many teaching stories. Okay. So we were at books. So the next book I read was, I think, the 8th or the ninth in this series. So this is Richard Parker, right? The career criminal. And it's called The Rare Coin Score. Okay. And so this was about someone who has an idea that they can rob a rare coin collection dealership. Now, the deal like convention. This kind of was interesting to me because I actually go to conventions. And so there was a person on the inside who was like, oh, saying, you have to, made him a map. You have to get this. They're too heavy to carry. These are the ones that you target and da-da-da. So it was like totally an inside job. And so they all get together and it showed how they planned it, how they executed it. And then it does switch points of view like it normally does. Now, the introduction for this book, there was a foreword by Luke Sante. Sorry, there's a hair on there. I don't just randomly blow my my iPad. Okay, the introduction was actually really interesting because it pointed out a couple of things. Like, there's no morality mentioned. It's never, good and bad. It's just very straightforward, and that's the truth. It's just like, this is Parker. This is what he does. This is what they do to avoid being caught. There's always talk about, being captured by the police or what's going to happen. If someone does something wrong against the code, then Parker's got to get revenge for it, no matter what. And I guess that's why it was kind of different and fresh, because it wasn't saying, hey, what Parker's doing is wrong or what it's their own code. It's the code that they follow. And there's no mention of morality in this. And I thought the introduction to this one was really interesting. But anyways, I enjoyed that book. This is a great series. It continues to be great. I guess there's they mentioned it in the introduction. I guess this has the introduction of a recurring character of a female character. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. Again, loved it. Now, the next book I read, I didn't finish. So that is All Quiet on the Western Front. I guess I'm going to be reviewing that for next week. Maybe, because I didn't finish it and it's due back to the library and there are other people it's got to hold. So I might not get it back in time, but I'm definitely going to go ahead and watch the movie, which was nominated for many, many awards. But, excuse me again. But basically the book is misery, misery, misery. Here's another miserable scene. Here's another miserable scene. But it brings home the absolute horror of war. And what I really find fascinating is I'm pretty sure that the main character is German, right? So this is told from, someone's point of view from the other, the other side. But you totally forget that. It's just these humans going through this horrible situation. And it could have been written from the Allied side, could have been written from the Axis side. It's just, it's awful. And they're, like they talk about corpse rats. And I mean, as I heard that, I was thinking that would be the perfect name for one of these death metal bands, Corpse Rat. Maybe there is one. This is music, no solution. Can you tell me, is there an actual band named Corpse Rat? Because that's a cool name, but that's gross because they were talking about how fat these rats get because they have a lot to eat. It's a pretty harrowing experience reading this. And there was like this one scene that was really, really affecting. So, like I said, I'm only about 50 to 60% through it. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it by next week, but I will absolutely. And then at some point I'll be talking about it more. All right, on to movies. So let's see. I think I have movies all over the place. Let me go back. I didn't write everything down. No. Oh yeah, I do. So first, I'm going to talk about this movie. I Lost My Body, and this is about um, a young guy who really likes this girl, and he has an accident that removes his hand, and basically the hand is traveling through the movie to get back to the body. It's so good as an animated movie. That's so different, right? It reminds you of like an extended movie about Thing, or yeah, Thing from the Addams Family. Or there was another movie that used a disembodied hand, which was, I think, The Evil Dead 3, maybe 2. I can't remember. Anyways, this is a benevolent hand. But I so enjoyed this movie. It was different. It was quirky. It was fun. Very exciting at points for an animated movie. I recommend this one. I Lost My Body. Oh, drat! I made a mistake. Okay, Annihilation. I was gonna bring out my books because the books are beautiful. When the book Annihilation came out, I was crazy for it. I thought it was one of the most amazing books I'd ever read. I loved it, and of course, I read Roadside Picnic, because Annihilation was so heavily inspired by Roadside Picnic. Annihilation book is way better, but you have to respect the original source material. Okay, so I read all 3 books. They get crazier and crazier as you go through them. I've read more books by Jeff Vandermeer. They don't stand up to Annihilation. They're still interesting. They're still fun. But Annihilation is just creepy. It's scary. It introduces this world that is just, it's got so many ideas. It's so cool. And the movie actually does it justice. Now, they wrap up the movie in one movie, whereas there were 3 books. But I love the movie. It's different. It's different from its source material. If you got to appreciate that, right? Like, if you love the book and want them to stick closely to the book, you might be disappointed. But the imagery in the movie is so cool. There's so many visions where you see things through glass, or where you see things through water, or where you see things through, like, like something where the glass is like shimmery. It's all to bring home a point of identity and doubles. And if you haven't seen Annihilation, this movie is not action packed. It is a little bit of a slow burn, but everything around it, it's just creepy. It's just, I really liked it. I went to see it in the theater as soon as it came out. Loved it. There's just this creepy scene with this like boar hog thing. I'm a huge fan of this movie. Now, I know that there could be people who would watch this and absolutely hate it. I get that. But for me, this is a 5-star movie. This thing is great. I think the book is phenomenal. If you read Annihilation and you hated it, you can write that in the comments, and I would understand why. But for me, edge of the seat. I've already gushed enough. I love Annihilation. That wasn't my first time to watch it. The reason we watched it is my husband, for some strange reason, put it in his queue, and it was leaving soon, right? So if you want to watch this, you better hurry. It might be leaving Netflix. I think that's where it was. And I was like, why did you put that in your queue? He's like, oh, it looked interesting. And like, this is the kind of movie he would never put in his queue. I'm like, okay. Because he said, hey, pick one of the movies from my queue, and that's what we'll watch, because it was his turn. And I was like, Annihilation. I'm like, and you better not regret it, because at the end he would have said, that's one of your movies. But he actually ended up really enjoying it. When it first came out, I didn't go with him to the movie theater to see it because he wasn't interested in it, so I went with a friend. But yeah, Annihilation. Okay, last night we watched a brand new movie released on Hulu called No One Will Save You. And I was expecting B-movie trash wow, this movie caught me and held me. Okay, the beginning, like maybe fifth of the movie, you don't exactly know what's going on. You know something happened. It's explained later in the end, but then you get wrapped up in this alien invasion, and these aliens are creepy as hell. The special effects in this movie are cool. These aliens, if you want to see aliens voguing, well then you better watch this movie. I'm telling you, for stumbling across a movie and just watching it blind, what an amazing experience this movie was. It's basically a woman trapped in a house kind of ghost story. Instead of ghosts, you've got like being hunted by aliens, but then they take it outside and it goes to the town. It's just not that. It changes. It keeps you going. If you watch this movie, let me know. Let me know what you think. If you dislike this movie, I would be surprised because it has so many cool things going on for it. And the ending is just so weird and so quirky. I personally, I loved the ending. It was a fun ending, very colorful to such a dark movie, and I like dark. So, anyways, I think I have one more movie to talk about. I'm scrolling. This is really bright. Okay. Yeah, it's Pearl. So Pearl is the sequel to the movie X, which I watched. It's about a group of filmmakers who are going to make a pornographic movie, and they rent like a house barn type thing from a couple, and insanity ensues. And so this movie is a sequel, but it's a prequel because it takes one of the characters from that rented the property, and it shows her origin because she's like this crazy character in that movie. X is a fun movie if you haven't seen it. Now, I'm going to say that this movie is not as good as X in some ways. X has a lot more action. This has a slower build up. It's very character driven, but for a horror movie, it's still a lot of crazy fun. It's the same actress who was in X. She's in this one, and she does a phenomenal job. You believe she's crazy. She does such a good job at it. And there's a scene at the end where she has to smile for seriously like 3 minutes while the credits are rolling. I didn't time it, and she starts crying as she's smiling, and I don't know how this actress did it. It's like you can see her struggling and like all these emotions as she's keeping this crazy Joker grin the entire time. It's worth it just to scroll to the end and watch that because the actress does this. It's phenomenal. I'm gonna say definitely a 3.5, but maybe more like a 4.5. It really depends on the type of viewer you are. I would say that if you're really into horror, you can't miss this movie. It's so well done, but like I said, it's more character driven. It's showing you a character and her origins of how she becomes, this creepy killer. And so, like I said, it's a little bit, more slow, right? Because I don't want to give things away. I would say watch it and then let me know. But for the casual fan, you probably wouldn't like this, right? If you don't like horror, you're definitely not going to like this one. And I think that was the 4 movies. Let me check. I did, yeah. I Lost My Body, Annihilation, No One Will Save You, and Pearl. So yeah, it was a pretty light week for me, but I'm already at 34 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead eat my breakfast. Go ahead and take my shower so I won't be an unwashed beast for my next video today, which is going to be a comic movie. So you'll actually see me in a nice shirt. So yeah, that's it. I was like, as always. Oh, here's a preview of what I'll show. I got this cool science fiction magazine. I mean, Robert Silverberg, A.E. Van Vogt, I think is it? Yeah, A.E. Van Vogt. It's got just some crazy stuff in it. It's got comics. It's got articles. I'm looking forward to reading that one. So that's a preview of my comics video later. I hope you'll all watch that, even if you don't like comics, just to see the pretty colors. But again, this is Garage Geek signing out. I want to thank all of you for the support. I've got a 3-day weekend. I'm so pumped. I'm going to be jumping into all your videos, watching them. So sorry. It was just this crazy week where I had a migraine and I didn't get enough sleep. It was like all crazy. But again, I want to thank everyone for the support and all the comments. I love it. And I'll see you in the next video.